welcome to our training webinar. This is one in a series that we're running covering various strands of digital marketing. And today we've got Colin Harrison, our paid search manager, who will be covering all things PPC. If you've got any questions or issues during the webinar, then just pop them in the chat or use the Q&A function and we will run through these at the end. The session is being recorded and we'll share the link after the session. Colin, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sarah, and great to meet you all today. We won't do an icebreaker just because probably won't be able to hear you all. You might be typing, working from beaches or wherever you are located around the world at this precise moment. So great, let's get started. Hopefully you can see my screen. Please put any comments. If you have any questions whilst we're going along these slides, please put them in and flag them up. Sarah will pull those out as and when. I'm just going to crack on through the slides. So many of you may already be using Google Ads, paid advertising. Many of you may not be using paid advertising. So let's do a little bit of an introduction. So what does PPC exactly mean? So PPC is pay per click. So what this means, it's a model of internet marketing in which advertisers pay a fee each time one of their ads is clicked. It's a way of buying visits to your site rather than attempting to earn those visits organically. Search engine advertising is one of the most popular forms of PPC. Now, usually at this point, I'd ask how many of you use PPC and put your hands up, but this is not possible on this webinar. So I expect, let's assume, I've seen a few of you guys already use paid advertising, which is great because we're already working with you. So this is a general overview for a medium level. So you might have a bit of understanding of paid advertising, you might have a thorough in-depth understanding, or you might be very new. So you'll have opportunities to ask questions throughout or at the end. So let's go back to the main question, how paid search marketing works. So paid search marketing can fit in a whole range, or PPC can fit in your whole range of marketing efforts. Now, as a law firm, you'll be doing different kinds of advertising to get new clients on board, new cases. So paid advertising runs alongside very well different marketing channels, such as your email marketing campaigns, your SEO, your referrals. It could be online PR you're doing. Maybe you're doing podcasts. But it's a great way of driving traffic to your website, which run along these sides, because attribution is changing a lot more these days in terms of the customer journey and how picky they're becoming on who to choose, which law firm to choose and which not to choose. So where does it fit in? So Google Ads is the go-to platform for PPC, search engine marketing. However, there are other channels out there which offer different forms of PPC. The second most popular one is Facebook. Mobile is a very popular channel to advertise on these days in its various forms. Bing Ads, Instagram, LinkedIn, display, programmatic. We can touch on programmatic a little bit more later on. Pinterest is becoming. Twitter, native, and Snapchat. Now, these are very many channels, and we've also got other ones like Spotify. Many different ways of targeting your audience, depending on the intent, depending on the purpose of what you want to do. So, why do law firms use paid advertising or PPC? The main one, it's predictable. You can set up an ad campaign, be it very targeted or being very broad. And after a time, you can estimate the return on advertising spend. That's the ROAS formula. So when you put £1 in, you get X amount of pounds back, depending on the types of cases that you're doing, whether it's conveyancing, family, or the more niche, maybe you're doing a whole different range of subsectors within that, but I'll go on to talk about that. It's easy to scale. So if you're doing a number of different legal sectors, legal services, then you can scale up depending on your capacity to take on more cases, and scale down or even turn off some campaigns. We've seen a lot of conveyancing or conveyancers being at saturation at the moment because they've got too much, so they can scale down. And it's finding the right formula for yourself and how Google Ads or pay-per-click fits in with your business. Also, there's more time to focus on the product or service itself. As the shape of marketing goes these days, Google want to serve the best advert at the top of Google based on the searcher's query and intent. So it gives you the opportunity as law firms or marketers within law firms to really shape and look at the service that you're giving compared to your competitors, because gone are the days of yellow pages these days. You don't pick up a book and choose the one that looks most fancy or the one that's at the top. Users can actually search a number of different ways, and a certain number of different assessments they'll do on how well established you are, how authoritative you are, and what kind of messaging that you're giving as a law firm, and how you position yourself in the market. Now, going back to the good old tradition marketing, you've got your product, your price, your place, your promotion, your people, and your processes. Now, users these days will really touch on different points of those areas to assess how and who, whether to go to. Your location could be a factor. Are you standing out in your local towns? Have you got a service that you're really good about? Maybe case studies you should be targeting as part of your Google advertising. So more time to focus on the products and services you offer, which will also help the SEO as well. You get results faster than you do inbound marketing. This is because it's instant. You can usually get an ad campaign up and running within 24 to 48 hours. It usually takes, depending on your target audience and the service and the amount of competition, it can take a few days to weeks to really learn, or Google's AI to learn exactly where you fit in within the market. Okay, so here's a PPC fact. I know law firm owners and marketers love facts. So 80% of all marketers now allocate at least some kind of ad budget to search, social, display, and remarketing goals. Why is this? It's because of the customer journey. Maybe you're not appearing on Google for some of the terms that we can identify in a minute, but maybe you are. But how does that fit into the whole trust factor of whether someone chooses you or someone chooses somebody else? And it's all about the customer journey, from the awareness stage to the consideration stage to the purchase stage. And you can leverage Google AdWords. It used to be called Google AdWords, now it's called Google Ads. You can leverage that in many different ways. So you can interact as the last click, first click, or an assisted click to the road to conversion. So let's have a look at what a PPC advert looks like. This is your standard PPC advert. If I typed in best solicitors in Bristol, this might be a result that you'll come across. Now, you can see this is quite a generic term, where if I typed in as a user, I'll be thinking, okay, I'm looking for a solicitor in Bristol. This might be the first time I've ever typed in this phrase. I need a solicitor because I maybe want to move house, for example. So I will type in this generic phrase. And this is kind of an advert that maybe would appear. Now, it all depends on where the users are located. It may be based on their previous search history that different adverts would appear. And this is an example of what an ad looks like, or different types of ads here. Then we've got different types of ads in Google search. This is at the top of the maps. Now you can see just at the top of this image here, you can see maps appearing here. Usually you've got 3 ads appearing at the top there. There is an opportunity to implement location, so your Google My Business with Google Ads. So you can appear at the top of maps here or on the first page, depending on Google. They'll decide what appears on the first page or appears on these maps here. As I mentioned, location's a massive factor, especially now we're coming out of lockdown, where people want to interact directly with the law firm that they want to work with. Sometimes they won't. Maybe it's the product or the service that they are more keen on, so they will look further afield in to find that specific niche and the expertise that they need for their particular case. So a question I am asked many times is, how much does PPC cost? How much does it cost per click? And unfortunately, there isn't a particular straightforward answer. It depends. So what are the factors that come into how much you'll pay per click? It depends on the targeting criteria, the location, the audience, the strategy. What kind of keywords you want to be targeting. If you're looking for medical negligence solicitors, you're looking at around 25 to 45 pounds per click, sometimes less, sometimes more, depending on the intent and the amount of competition. But if you're looking for general lawyers and solicitors, you can be looking at around £1 to £5 per click. But it really depends on a number of different factors. But it also includes, so what else factors in your how much you'll be paying per click? It's the text of your ad affecting CTR. Usually I'd throw the ball out there to ask everybody, what do you think CTR is? I'm sure some of you know what CTR is, but it's one of the most important metrics when we're analyzing an ad campaign. CTR is click-through rate, and what this is the amount of times your ads have been seen by people typing in certain keyword variants, and how many times is it actually being clicked on, and it'll give you a percentage. The higher the percentage, industry average is around 2 to 3%, but sometimes it's a lot higher. We're seeing some campaigns hit 15% when it's really targeted, and we've got the best ad showing for that search query. Also, factors that can come into how much you could be paying per click is the landing page. So this is things like website speed, the relevance, supporting pages, and it's really about the user experience. And also the maximum bid you've set as well. So, and many more. Hopefully I haven't lost anyone just yet. Okay, so here's an example of some kind of phrases, but general phrases. One of the tools we use is Keywords Explorer, and this is the interface. I put in the key phrase solicitors, and these are kind of the terms in the UK that you might want to target. And you can see here the level of competition, given this will always be different depending on your website, because different competition, different locations, and your different targeting options. You can see here, for if you wanted to target the phrase solicitors near me, and I'd only really do this if you've got a broad range of different services that you offer in the UK or abroad, because that could mean medical negligence, family, PI, or a whole range of different, what is actually someone typing in. So if more specific, more targeted would be conveyancing solicitors. So you're looking at the top of the page. This is around position 4 to top of the page around position 6. No win, no fee. This is a very broad search term. However, we find a lot of competitors targeting this because they offer that service for that particular niche. Sorry, is anyone raising their hands? Sarah?
I think, yeah, I did see someone. I think, Joe, do you have a question? Let me unmute you. Joe, did you have a question?
No, I didn't. I raised my hand because Colin said something about I would normally ask you to raise your hand. So I did the raise hand and then put it down again. So I'm sorry.
No worries.
No worries. It's the advantage of having 3 screens. I see everything apart from the people I'm talking to. But anyway, let's crack on. So yeah, these are kind of phrases that you'd consider when first starting to consider using paid advertising and how much does cost. Now, we do a lot of audits on different accounts, and the way that Google Ads has evolved over the immediate past and beyond, it's always evolving. And you've always got to remember, as many websites and like yourselves, law firms, you're a business. So Google do want to change things for them to make more money. They are invested in their stakeholders. So they have got to give the tools to us, but again, make it a little bit fuzzy, or as fuzzy as possible, so they can make more money. And we can see that Google are making 95%, the last time I checked, of all of their profits through paid advertising. So just be wary, don't go all guns blazing and start targeting some of these keywords without everything that will go through being in place. So there is a big misconception go back to the right slide. Misconception in general, I'm talking about. Margins are razor thin. Many business owners and marketers try paid advertising once and lose money or break even. Many conclude that there's no money to be made with pay per click. There's many different reasons why this would be. It could be that you tried it over a short experiment time, so you're not looking at the whole lead time to generation. You might be tracking last click attribution. You might be not looking at statistic conversions. You might be so many different reasons. But in Google as a whole, not just law firms, you're looking on average around £2 in revenue for every £1 they spend on Google Ads. That's kind of a general overview of return on investment or return on advertising spend. It depends on how you look at it. Okay, so how does Google Ads work? Now, like I said, it's evolved a lot, but the raw premise of it, so how do users find adverts? So let's take this example. If I'm in Australia and I'm typing in, I want to find Sydney accountants as an example. So I would type in Sydney accountants in the search bar on Google or Bing. Bing accounting for around 10% of the UK market, not to be ignored, by the way. And then a whole range of different results will come up, some right at the top of Google or Bing, some in the map pack, some in organic as well. So it will show up in search ads. The business is then charged if I click on that advert, not for seeing it, but if I click on that advert at the top of Google. This is important because there's different models of marketing, which can be confused. There's a CPM model, mainly used for display, sometimes in Facebook as well. And this is cost per mil, cost per 1,000 views. So you're only going to be paying every time someone clicks on the advert. Now, a lot of people, I don't know about yourselves and how you search on Google. I think the statistic is anywhere between the younger generation now up to the age of around 35 can't really differentiate between a Google ad and an organic one. So they will click on the best instant, straightforward answer that they find. A little bit more savvy shoppers will usually jump down to Google because they've earned it, like people who know how the internet works with websites. And so they will tend to click on the organic listing or maps. So this is why a map placement can really help there. But what is really interesting is how much your organic click or organic visit from your organic posts is influenced by the paid advertising and Google Maps, because it's that trust factor. You're looking, as a user, you're looking to find the best, most credible, most established business that offers the service that you're looking for. So if you've got placement in your Google Ads and in Maps and in search, then you're more likely to subconsciously click on that. You won't have to pay on the paid advertising clicks there and then, because you're more likely, they'll see the ad, they'll see the brand, they'll see that, and then they'll click on the Google Ads, they'll click on the the Google organic listings. So it's really a big difference in conversions that we found, especially brand as well. I don't know if any of your competitors are competing with your brand. Maybe check out incognito and type in your brand name, whatever it is, and put law firm or lawyers or solicitors on the end of it, and see if any of your competitors are advertising against your brand. Maybe they're trying to take business away from you, but that's worth checking out. So go on to the most exciting bit now. What's the process? How does it work? What do we want to do when we are considering creating a Google Ads campaign or Bing Ads? So the first step is to carry out keyword research. Like I talked about earlier on, there's a number of different tools we can use. Then there's ad creation. Then there's the landing page development. Then there's the account setup, tracking, installation and testing, campaign launch, monitoring performance, campaign assessment and analysis and feedback. It's always a cyclical thing. So we're always looking to improve, always looking to develop, and we start off with the keyword research and intent. So this is worth bearing in mind. So it's all about user intent and mapping this. So the user intent of a keyword is the goal of the user typing the search query, and it typically falls into three categories. They either want to do something, they either want to know something, or go somewhere. In fact, there's often more than one intent per query. So an example of this, if I typed in as a user, I need a solicitor, might type in solicitor. What were the search results? What are the options? What are Google trying to understand? It might mean I want to become a solicitor, or so I might click on the how to become a solicitor. I might want to find out the salary of a solicitor, or what does it mean? Or I want to find a solicitor near me. So I might then go back and I want a solicitor in Bristol. So what does that look like? It's slightly different intent again. So it would be, again, there's the different options that you could appear for if you targeted in the keywords solicitor and Bristol. So it could mean that property solicitors, best solicitors, it could mean criminal solicitors. So it's now niching down a little bit. So another example is a little bit more, 3 words in this targeting. Solicitor Bristol conveyancing, for example. This provides a more examples. Maybe I'm looking for a particular firm, or I'm looking for fixed price, or I'm looking for a conveyancer near me. In fact, around 96% of all Google searches now are 4 words or more. Now, this is, in fact, for family solicitors and conveyancing, very true. In Google, in more of the niches, this is also very true as well. However, targeting works in a different way because we don't know these 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 words, and they might be using Google Assist as well, or reading it in. So it could be, I need a solicitor that specialises in conveyancing in Bristol for a purchase of a house. Some people might be reading that in. So we will still want to appear for that, but we wouldn't want to appear for, I'm thinking about starting a law firm that specialises in conveyancing in Bristol. So the keywords are intent. This is how we can understand a little bit more about how to filter what we don't want to appear for and what we do want to appear for. And in fact, now Google Ads removes the search terms for around 28% of paid search budgets. So what this means is we used to be able to have, Google used to be transparent, and they used to tell us all of the different keywords or search terms that people would actually type in. This would help us develop campaigns, grow them out. But now, in fact, Google hides around 28% of those search terms because it makes them more money, and they say it's for user privacy and things like that. So when we're carrying out Google keyword research, tools we use a combination of Google's Keyword Planner, SEMrush, Ahrefs, Google Search Console, Keyword Tool IO, and Google itself to understand. Maybe you've identified who one of your competitors is. Maybe we look at SEO and paid advertising, look at the gaps in your market or areas that you could growing. Maybe they're top of the funnel search awareness terms, or they're bottom of the funnel. Top of the funnel search awareness could be how do I get a divorce, for example, or it could be middle of the funnel, like what are the steps of getting a divorce, or who are the best divorce solicitors in Bristol, or phrases such along those lines. So we'll uncover, and you can categorize, you can target campaigns per campaign or ad group, depending on where they are in the funnel. So there's different types, different ways of targeting different search terms. Now, these can be segmented into different areas. Broad match, so this is, you can maximum reach and minimum relevance. So maybe you're an Erbs palsy solicitor, specializes in gaining compensation for those clients, those type of clients niche. Maybe you want to target, but there's not much search volume, because it will be can I, what is, who is, where is, those phrases. So we can't really pinpoint, so we have to blanket approach. So a broad match will throw the blanket out there, which we can refine further until we find out what works for that particular niche. Modified broad match, slightly lower reach, but greater relevance. And I'll go on to that. That's going to be fading out soon. Phrase match is becoming more powerful. So this is quite, you get a medium reach, but higher relevance. Exact match, you've got a minimum reach. This is telling Google exact match, I only want my adverts to appear for phrase solicitors conveyancing Bristol. So you'll tell Google that, and any other variations of broad variations you won't appear for. However, if you take the broad match and you put conveyancing solicitors Bristol, you will appear for a lot of other phrases. Also, not to be ignored when you're running a campaign is negative match. So if you are taking the broad match approach, or even phrase match, then you'll want to have a good solid negative keyword list. And these can include anything from people's names, competitors, if you don't want to compete against competitors, or they could be locations, the whole range of different negative keywords that you should be putting in your account and continually learning from. And targeting and looking at the search query data will also give you the opportunity to expand out and improve your landing pages and your services as well. So if you're running a campaign currently, go and jump into the search terms. Again, you'll only be able to see around 50 to 70%, but it will give you some insight into what people are actually typing in to find you. Okay, yeah, use negative keywords. Top tip, it's as good as targeting adverts with keywords and without. As I mentioned, in July this year, the creation of broad match modified keywords will no longer be available, but the same matching functionality will be available through phrase match. They will continue to serve using the new behavior. So if you currently got broad match modified in your accounts, they still will work, but they'll kind of take on the same function as a phrase match. So we're considering how to approach this in different campaigns based on different scenarios. Now, once you've done the keywords research and you know what your strategy is, and you've got them in different campaigns with different targeting location, depending on how many services you want. You'll want to create adverts. Now, the go-to advert now is a responsive advert. This is a standard for each of your ad campaigns. So this will automatically adjust very quickly, depending on the device the user's using, depending on what it is. But a responsive search ad will allow you to put in a lot of different phrases, and using Google's AI, it will show the most relevant combination of those phrases or those terms and call to actions that has historically worked the best. Now, work the best means it's improved your click-through rate, and it's increased your chances of conversion. So that is becoming a go-to in your Google search campaigns. Call only ads. Now, this can work if your target audience is using more mobile as opposed to desktop. Family campaigns, we find more mobile users than not. Conveyancing as well. Maybe you want to just run these during work time. So like open your office, someone's actually going to answer the call. And if they are very effective, and so you can run 2 different campaigns, one for mobile and one for desktop as well, if you want to do different types. To have more control over exactly how your ad would look, you can choose the text. So it's just words only. This is more traditional. And using Google ad extensions, and there's a whole different variety of ad extensions that you can create for your campaigns. You can you can create your ads nice and big, like the example earlier on Google. If I typed in best solicitors Bristol, you've got Irwin Mitchell here. They've used a whole different range. They've got call out extensions. These ones are really important, Sitelinks, because these will solidify your confidence, the user's confidence in you as a business. Because if you say do PI and you specialize in different services of PI, and someone types in PI Solicitors UK, they can jump to exactly, and you've got different types of PI. You can pinpoint these site links so they can jump straight in. They see you're a PI expert in the UK. Don't use the word expert, by the way. We're fading that out a lot more because everyone's an expert these days. So it's pulling out your USPs of your business and showcasing them on here, and doing the semantic soft approach. So you're feeling warm, it's all about the user experience now. You can do call extensions. So if you want them to call, you can actually do lead form extensions. So you don't have to actually use them to actually leave the search, Google search. They can actually fill out a form now. So there's a whole different variety of different ad extensions that the user, the advertiser can use. There is an alternative to a very fixed approach. So this is the traditional approach. That one we were just talking about there is very much, this is what we want to appear for. This is our targeting. This is the device. This is our audience, a whole different range. What we can actually do now, and for many different campaigns, we usually apply around 20% of an ad budget. Could be less, could be more, depending on yourself. But it's what's called a DSA. So this is a dynamic search ad. Essentially what this is, it's allowing Google to scrape the content of your site. Now, if your website's really thorough and to the point, and you've got case studies, and you've got a whole different range of area subjects and top of the funnel, bottom of the funnel topics around your industry sector, your specialist legal area, then you can say to Google, okay, take these groups of pages and we want to show ads for those pages. Now these can be all different kinds, from the who, what's, why's, when's to the bottom of the funnel, I need a solicitor now. And what Google do is take different parts of your website pages and create an ad around them. Now, this is really good for finding out different search terms that people are typing in where your traditional ads wouldn't necessarily find. Finding new opportunities, maybe a blog post you have that you've written on a certain service or a client's pain point. Maybe that would convert better because it's more leading into a sale, rather than you're trying to help people rather than going to the hard sale. So this can be particularly good if you want to test out new things and learn and find the right formula for your particular business. So, but be careful and implement best practices. Use negative keywords, use negative devices. You don't want to appear on apps, for example. So just err on caution. So now we've got the keywords targeted, we've got those in the account. We've got some ads, great looking ads. Now we want to do the actual targeting of the keywords. So we've done the settings. So how does it actually work? So how it actually works is what you'll pay for depends on the best combination of your bid. So this is what you're prepared to pay compared to your competitors, a bit like eBay. When you're bidding against, I don't know, whatever it is you buy on eBay, a lawnmower or something like that. If someone else comes along and bids something slightly higher, they might appear above you, or they might get that lawnmower. Very timely example there of a lawnmower. And then so you'll put your PPC bid in, or cost per click bid, and then that will work out your quality score based on your keywords, your ads, and your landing page. And then that will give you a position of where you appear on the top 4 or on the bottom of the page. Or on Google Maps, and so on and so forth. So it's a whole different combination. So this is a particularly important when you're considering Google Ads. So the keyword, how relevant it is to the user that you're targeting, the URL, and the ad. They're the 3 factors that will included in user experience. So user experience could be things like page speed, how thorough, how good your landing page is, whether it's responsive for mobile devices, and a whole different range of different things. So quality score is an important one. Some campaigns, though, please be aware, just to flag, we might want to differentiate ourselves on Google Ads itself, because you might, if you're targeting conveyancing solicitors in Bristol, you might search and all of them will say conveyancing solicitors in Bristol. So we might want to take a different approach to stand out. This might lower quality score. Again, if we're throwing a blanket out there and you're not particularly answering a question well, that will affect quality score. We're still getting some really good results for quality scores around the 5 out of 10 mark. However, it needs to be put into context when you're doing it. CTR, just as a reminder, click-through rate, clicks divided impressions, average industry 2%. Anything higher means your adverts are being targeted to the right search query at that time. So now we've got the campaign set up, keywords targeted, ads done. We've got the settings in place. We want to make sure that we're mapping campaigns to particular landing page groups. Now, we talked about site links before. This is what I was talking about. So you've got the awareness stage, like how, who, what, where, when. Have you got landing pages around those phrases? Are we targeting them? Interest stage, so yeah, they know what they need now. It's now looking at who does it better than others. So product, price, place. Have you got that set up in the ads or on the landing pages? Is that someone with a question?
I don't think so. Didn't see any.
Okay. Sorry, Balin, I missed that one earlier on. What's a good CTR for a law firm? It depends on your target audience. And CTRs, you're looking at anywhere for family, you're looking at around above 8% is a really good CTR. For PI, depending on what you want to do for PI and medical negligence, looking above like 3%, that's good for PI, just because we might not want to be paying the £40 per click right at the top. We might want to be bidding less as competitors. So we might take up the 4th position or the 3rd position. And we can't, by the way, we used to be able to target by ad position. Now we can't. Now it's search impression share. So we'll want to get above 3%. However, I've seen some good campaigns. If you're blanketing very broadly, you've seen a click-through rate of 1%, like Erbs palsy. I've seen campaigns when there's a whole variety of phrases around that, search terms around that topic, that we're getting low CTR. However, people only click on the ad if it's relevant to them. So it needs to be really considered on a case-by-case scenario. So just going back to the landing pages and how to connect different users' searches intent around the different landing pages, it's always good to map. And so we've got different landing pages with different purpose, visitor purpose. Now, what helps with SEO, as it does with Google Ads, is user experience, and everyone will want to find something out before making a decision. And that's, like I said, product, price, place, promotion, people, and processes. If you can build those into your landing pages in different places, so like there might be a contact page, you make sure you have a map in there, make sure you have when the availability, they can contact you, methods of contacting you, maybe it's chat you've got on your website, or maybe it's a form, or maybe it's a phone call. Make sure that that page, maybe you've got case studies, so people will want to read about different case studies that's associated with them. Or maybe you've got cost calculators, they're finding out whether they can afford a conveyancing. So there's a whole different type of landing page depending on the different visitor purpose. So just consider those. Do you have downloads? A whole different range. So Sitelink extensions, you can leverage Sitelink extensions, like going back to this Owen Mitchell one. If you're targeting conveyances in Bristol, for example, and you've got a cost calculator here, you've got what are the steps involved in or how we work, or save money. If you've got a landing page with 4 different landing pages around that one term, maybe it's conveyancing Bristol, then we can take up more real estate at the top of Google, and we can satisfy different searcher intents and provide a better experience for the user, which will pay off in the long term with organic and with paid as well. But we can't be sending traffic to landing pages that aren't very good. What do I mean by very good? This is an example that I use. If you want to go camping this year, you might type in best campsites in Devon or something like that, and you might be hit with an array. Not to use a legal example on this occasion, but if you want to go camping, then you want to know when you turn up there that it's actually a real business and you're not just going to be put in a field. Here's 2 examples for the same phrase. If you type it in, like Devon, I can't remember exactly where it was. It might have been near Torquay or something like this. If you type in Torquay campsites or best Torquay campsites, then you might come across these 2 websites. One on the left, you'll see that you're not sure if it actually is a campsite because the dates are quite old. If you have a dog, you're only going to be paying £1, which is great, but it's not mobile responsive. It doesn't instill with me with confidence, whereas the one on the right exactly does what I need. It provides that experience. Yes, we need a dog. Yes, it looks slick. Brand is on point. Yes, you can tell straight away they take tents and camper vans. So that one first shot of what we see on a mobile device will influence the decision of who to take. So if there's one thing you do today is go and check out, type in what you are, what you do, what services on your mobile, and see what the first experience is like when you do land. So what makes a let's go to the next slide. What makes a great landing page? Now these factors come into having a landing page, because Google Ads can send a lot of traffic to your website, but whether it takes the action that you want them to take, contact you, these are the factors that it could influence that. So a compelling headline which matched the searcher's query, effective copy, so this is written for, so this copy written for the user as opposed to written for the business. So you're putting themselves in their shoes, and it's very written in a very semantic way. Engaging media, so are the pictures of your team on there? Is there a video that they can watch, the steps, or however you work? Are the trust indicators? Have you got reviews on the page? Have you got, we do this, this, and this? Is there a lead capture form? A lot of solicitors' target audiences search outside of work hours. So have you got a capture form on there which is easy to use and it asks the right questions? Do you have a strong call to action? So this is, you can test different call to actions, whether it's contact us now or get a free quote or no win, no fee guarantee, claim yours now. whatever it is. Just make sure the call to action's on point. Exit links. Now, you can have exit links to some degree. Depends on whether you're using a squeeze page or not. A squeeze page is just set up without a header or a footer, just for that one searcher's intent. We're finding that squeeze pages can work well, but not in every single scenario, because customers' journey, they might want to click around and find out more about a business or the law firm that want to be working with. So there's positives and negatives about squeeze pages and exit links, because yeah, if you're stuck there on the page, you might take to find out more information. Traditionally, you might want to click away, but a lot of squeeze pages might want to keep you there. So the only option to finding out more is filling out a form. So it captures the client's leads and puts them into your nurture funnel or your case management system, and then you can or email along those lines. So yeah, just bear in mind the kind of landing pages that you've got for different devices. So sufficient white space. Is it easy to navigate around your page, scroll up and down? Remember, a confused mind always says no. So clear, clean messages that are strong are more applicable for, or better for, Google Ads landing pages. SEO landing pages, it depends on the user. You might have some SEO pages that are quite thorough. There's nothing wrong with that. It just depends on what your audience is doing and what they are. Because if it's just lawyers and they land on, then they can navigate to the particular part of your website that they're looking for. If it's lawyers, conveyancing solicitors, Bristol, then make sure you've got a landing page for that, because that will help improve click-through rates. So, give me a second. So ask yourself, does your law firm have marketing goals? If the answer is no, we hope you have an alternative source of income, because every business or law firm should have marketing goals. If your answer is yes, then your business should be tracking conversions. What is a conversion and why should you be tracking it? Because if you don't know where you're going, then it's very difficult to help. So what is a conversion and why does it matter? So a conversion is, or let's start off with one of the most common misconceptions about conversion tracking, is that it only works for purchases made online. So conversions, historically, e-commerce businesses, it's a sale or it's a purchase. You want to track how much did that result in. However, in reality, a conversion is any meaningful action completed by a visitor on your website. Something as simple as subscribing to your company blog, downloading a white paper, or even viewing an important web page on your site can be tracked as a conversion. More traditionally, conversions are different actions. So yeah, it could be downloading or interacting with your website. So you want to find out what's working and what's not with a Google Ads campaign. Because if we're sending traffic to a page or your website, we want to know if they interacted with it in any way, shape, or form. Because if they don't, that's not working. That channel, that broad match modifier, or that broad phrase that we're targeting hasn't resulted in the action that you want to take, them to pick up the phone or to fill out a form. And we want to optimize a Google Ads account to improve performance and make more people, or target more people to take in the action you want. And you'll save money and improving your return on investment. So if any of these are reasons or your goals, you should be doing tracking. Even if you're not doing Google Ads, you should be doing some kind of tracking using the most traditional one is Google Analytics. But you should be tracking what are people doing when they come to my website. Here's some examples. So conversion types, there are events versus goals. Events are interactions like watched a video, maybe it's stayed on a page for longer than 2 minutes. They're events. Goals I'd set up as phone calls, they emailed you, they started a chat conversation, maybe they purchased, maybe you're selling something online, maybe they phoned you or filled out a form. So they're the goals that you want to set. And how do we do this? We use Google Analytics, Google Tag Manager. On occasions, if we want to test call to actions and improve your conversion rate optimization, the CRO, on your site, maybe you want to test different headlines. Maybe you want to understand what the users are doing. So we use Unbounce or Hotjar. Phone call tracking is, we encourage it more and more these days because we can track what works and what doesn't. It's all black and white, and you can see, okay, we spent £1,000 and you got this many phone calls, or you spent £1,000 and you got this many email clicks, web forms, phone calls, or chats, and you can monitor all of those. Google Ads has one of the most sophisticated machine learning powered bidding available. This means we have the opportunity to feed conversion data into the machine to help it learn what works in your own business, because every single business is slightly different. So the more conversion data, phone calls, web forms, email clicks that we feed it, the better, the more it can condition it, or the adverts and the targeting and the keywords towards your particular businesses. And surprisingly, 76% of marketers are still struggling to track the return on advertising spend of their campaigns. So it's not surprising that some campaigns go off the rails if you don't have conversion tracking set up in your accounts. PPC channels, yeah, these are it gives you an overview of how paid advertising fits amongst others. So you've got text ads, that's popular, one of the most popular. Remarketing ads, go on to what remarketing is in the moment. Mobile social, doubt you're selling shopping or display. When you're using display, make sure it's either really targeted, using audiences from within your website, or if you want to take a blanket approach, just be aware that you'll need to do ongoing filtering, or even exclude certain ad areas out of your display campaign. Programmatic and native, they are a popular way of doing it. There are opportunities with programmatic and native, but you need to purchase a certain amount, and they are hit and miss, really. So which paid marketing channel should you choose for your firm? So it really depends on the target market and aim. Maybe you want to increase targeted traffic, so top of the funnel, and get them capture their email address and then nurture them through. Maybe you want to increase sales or number of cases. Maybe you want to become a resource or authority. There's a number of different ways you could utilize paid ads for that. Maybe want to increase your online visibility that can help with your attribution. So like the last click, first click. Maybe you want to establish yourself locally in local search. Maybe you want to build a brand or business in social media, or your brand across the whole of the web. Just wary of the time at the moment. So customer journey. This is also, as I keep talking about the funnel, there are many touch points to conversion these days. If you look into your Google Ads campaign, if you're tracking conversions and goals, this is one I took as an example. So 23 people came to the website twice via paid adverts and then converted. 11 people came to the website via paid search and then went away and then came back direct. 10 people came first via organic and then came direct. So there's a whole different variety of how paid adverts can play a part in your customer journey to conversion. And if you're not appearing on first page for the services that you offer, maybe paid advertising is a way, the first click, but it might not be the last click, because you can see most of these took more than 2 clicks to conversion. Don't forget about paid social, B2B, LinkedIn. Again, awareness if this is your target offering. Retargeting, yeah, there's different ways of doing retargeting, remarketing. You can either remarket via email, retarget on social channels, or retarget via display on Google Ads, retarget on the top of Google Ads. So if someone comes to your website via the first time, the word solicitor comes to your website, doesn't contact you, but stays on there for 5-6 minutes and then goes away, you can actually tell Google to say, we want to appear at the top of Google next time they type in something to do with solicitor. So you can do retargeting. You can make sure you're nice and big at the top there. So let's recap. So PPC means pay per click. It's usually Google Ads is the reactive way of marketing. So you're there when people search for your services that you offer within your law firm, as opposed to Facebook and Instagram. You're more proactive. You're putting a product or service in front of an audience that may or may not want your services. It can work a bit for conveyancing. PPI, it can work. It just needs to be strategized and the whole funnel developed out accordingly. ROAS, so return on advertising spend. Yeah, it's a model of tracking how much you're putting in and how much you're getting out. Appreciate some cases can take months, if not years, to actually work out that. But however, there are ways with other niches, especially if it's like conveyancing or family, you can work out a return on advertising spend to fit in with your business. CRO, so this is a conversion rate optimization. This is the process that we look at your landing page, or you should look at your landing page and see if you can tweak anything based on the user's search term and intent. CTR, click-through rate, this is how the percentage that a user sees your ad, or users see your ad, and the ones that click on it. And the reasons to try PPC, because it's right at the top of Google. Google's the biggest search engine. Google was searched more for or used by any, it was the highest phrase that was searched for online, Google, and it's the go-to place when people are looking for products or services. Even if you're not wanting to put a huge budget into paid advertising, you can do it branded, you can do it for a particular niche, and it will help fuel confidence in your organic listings or Google Maps. Or if you want to try something new and try and find that return on advertising spend, it's definitely worth trying. Or to target blog articles, if there's something topical in the news, maybe you want to target. We've seen some good results in there, and there's a whole different varieties why you'd want to try PPC. So why is conversions important? Track conversions. Yeah, if you've always done what you've always, if you've always got what you've always done, then you won't know where you're moving forward with. So if you understand what works and what doesn't, then you can condition your campaigns and all of your marketing accordingly. So you can see the whole path of how paid advertising plays in your business. Anyway, that's an hour of me talking, Sarah. I don't know how many people have switched off.
That was very useful. Thank you, Colin. We'll just give it a couple of minutes. If anyone's got any questions, please just raise a hand or just pop them in the Q&A box. One question I was going to ask Colin is, obviously there's quite a lot of talk at the moment about the core web vitals bits. How much does website speed affect Google Ads?
Yeah, it does massively, not just from a quality score point of view, what we spoke about earlier on, quality score being user experience and time it takes to load a page. Mobile now being mobile first indexing. Yeah, it's a really key, vital, important. And I don't know if you've ever clicked on an ad before or an organic listing, and it takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seconds to load. You're thinking, okay, doesn't exist, not working for me. So you'll click off it straight away. So you don't want to be wasting Google Ads budget or any marketing. Your website is the one go-to place that users are really visiting. So it's making sure your core web vitals are on point to make sure that we're paying less cost per click and the users can actually find the content really quickly.
Excellent, thank you. And then just one final question from me was, for those people on the call who are doing paid search themselves at the moment, what would be the one thing you would recommend them doing as a result of this session going away to do?
If you're already doing paid advertising, it's looking at or make sure you've got conversion tracking set up, and it's looking then at the conversion journey, conversion path, assisted conversions, because yes, we might not be tracking last click conversions, because if a customer comes, searches for you on Google, and then goes away and then speaks to husband or wife or whoever, and then they visit, it's looking at that attribution as much as you can to really see what the customer's journeys are to conversion. So there's one thing, there's actually two things. Check out your landing pages to see if they are on point and they serve users' intents and purposes. And also, secondly, making sure your tracking is in place so you look and understand attribution and the part that, whether it's maps or organic, and you can split out maps traffic versus organic traffic. There is a way of doing that in Google Analytics, and just seeing attribution, because that's going to be key to understanding where you invest in, how you invest in your marketing activities moving forward.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
There's one question from Charlotte.
Oh, sorry. Let me just see that. Is there a trust factor? Do users trust paid ads more or less than organic?
Do they trust them more or less? The majority of the people on search now, I'm talking about majority, the younger generation, will tend to just click on Google Ads. The older generation, or if we take them as a whole, yes, a lot of people will scroll down to organic. However, it depends on niche by niche, because you've got a whole very general. Legal, it's very difficult to say how many people click on a paid ad or not, because there's so many variables to take into consideration. I'd estimate around 40%, between 30 and 40 do click on a Google ad. And then the other 60 to 70 do click on the organic. That's an estimate. But the trust factor of you being there, even if they scroll down, so you're there in the Google Ads or in the Google Maps, and in the Google Maps and in organic, then they will see all of that. They'll see that you're an authoritative source on your particular niche, so they're more likely to go with you in the longer term. And especially, like I said, you don't have to be targeting bottom of the funnel search terms. It could be the who's, what's, why's, when's, less competition. And if you've got a blog article or something around that topic, or a cost calculator or whatever it is, or you offer free, then you can target those in different formats and different ways.
Great, thank you. Thank you for that question, Charlotte. Okay, I think we're all done now.
Another one?
Another late question just come in. Colin, have you seen a change in competition in PPC due to COVID?
Absolutely, yes. It's been like a wild wave for everyone for many different reasons. But yeah, especially last June, we saw a low amount of competition. I think a lot of law firms decided to scale back. It was a bit like a rabbit and headlight scenario in many different cases. What should we do? Where should we invest in? What should we do? But as any recession, or if you want to call whatever you want to call it, in any time of that we've experienced, that the firms that have continued to invest in the marketing and evolving and strategizing have been the successful ones for the long term, because it changes, shifts in habits, users have time to do things. So has it changed in competition? Yes, last June drop, July it came back, August the law firms tend to scale back a little bit because of the Christmas holidays, the summer holidays, and then it's kind of flatted out. But now we're seeing especially more competition coming up. More competition, especially with we're seeing more DSAs being used and more budget being put into paid advertising, because like I said, Google are taking up that state at the top. You're not there, then people might not come across you at whatever stage of the funnel, or whether they're ready to purchase or contact you or not. So if you're there, then yes, and that's what law firms are recognizing, is getting more competitive these days. So it's where to invest in, whether it's SEO or paid advertising. Hopefully that answered your question.
Great, thank you. Okay, I think we really are at the end of questions now. If, as I said, if there's any others after this session finishes, then please just contact your account manager, and they can pass you on to Colin. And otherwise, thank you very much for attending. Have a good afternoon, and we hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Later. Thank you.